we were in the lodge, and we were in the middle of the night laying in bed, and it was snowing. It was in the middle of the winter, dead of the winter, and all of a sudden, the lodge, top of the lodge, were bedrooms upstairs on the third level, and the whole top of the lodge seemed to be out of the blue, no wind, no storm or anything, just started going back and forth, and there was an earthquake, and that's when that's when there was a warning, that something was going on, just out of the blue.
I didn't notice it as an earthquake. I knew,
Wow.
but all the snow slid off the roof.
Well, you went.
But that happened, every once in a while.
Right.
And it was in March, we'd get 10 feet of snow in March. Always the heaviest snow month. It's still that way, It doesn't accumulate for the winter, but it'll pour it on. 3 or 4 feet of snow overnight was not unusual. And yeah, definitely, that woke us up. And possibly a little tremor.
And you went downstairs and looked at, because you were kind of curious, and I remember you saying, wasn't the snow?
March.
Well,
Because I remember I had a Forest Service radio. They left with me after I kind of wasn't supposed to have it, but I was the only one up there year round that could communicate with the Forest Service.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd always get your occasional midnight rider up there that would plow into a snowbank, there were people hit by cars and accidents, and so Chuck Ton, the ranger up there at the time, left me with a radio, and I called it in that something had happened up there, and they kind of, we don't know, I don't really remember the response, but it wasn't really like, oh well, we better check it out. But then it was shortly after that all of a sudden, there's something going on up here. They picked it up at the UW, and there was tremors, and it wasn't just a little tremor, it was continuous.
Yeah, we were snowed in too that night. We couldn't have gotten out of there if we would have wanted to.
What went through your mind when you felt it?
Get me out of here. I just thought, oh my God. I sat straight up in bed, and I was thinking, oh my God, get me out of here. It was scary. Well,
Kathy's a lot more sensitive to it because she didn't live up there, and she didn't go through the 40 mile an hour, 15 mile an hour wind shaking that building, and 0 temperatures and all that stuff. And I was kind of in Harry's camp that it's just gonna go away, and this isn't gonna happen.
Right.
Everybody went up there, and he pretty much said, it's just gonna blow off a little steam, we got a little mud flow down the mountain, and I'm not afraid of that thing, and I'm not leaving. I knew Harry pretty well. Our family goes way back with Harry. I've got pictures of me on his dock when I was 5 years old, and my dad rode horses up there into the back country and was in the sheriff's posse, and we have a long relationship with him. He'd just say, I'm not leaving here. I can't go anywhere, kid. He smack you on the arm and just say, I'm not going. This is my place.
And what would you say?
Nobody's going to take me out of my place. He's just...
And what would you say?
I just say, bye, Harry. I gotta go,
Well, yeah, and my mom lived about 30 miles down the road in Tootle, right there on Silver Lake. And we were there a couple of times, and I invited Harry. I said, come down and, you can stay at Mom's place. You don't have to stay up here. You can come down. We're going to be there, and just come on down and stay at Mom's. My mom was open to that, too. And Harry says, nope. He thought about it for about a minute, I think, and then he decided no.
He'd never do that. Because I respected him, and he finally figured out I was there for the long haul. Because I think my history of the lodge from people I talked to was Gustafson's owned it, and maybe who knows how many people between whenever they gave it up, or because they were in their 80s, I think, when we bought it from them. And when we bought it, I don't know how many people were there. I just heard that, they'd get somebody up there to run it during the winter, and they just get cold and froze out, and stuff would break, and they'd just drive away and leave. and they'd be empty, and then they'd find out they were gone and somebody else had come, and it just seems like it went on like that because nobody could take it. And that's kind of what Harry told me. But when he saw after about 3 or 4 years that, you know, this kid's not going anywhere, I don't think he, you know, we're not on the equal thing. He's 84 years old, I'm 25, but we had mutual respect. I never felt that he looked down on us at all, except early on he'd call us Hippieville and go on down to Hippieville. Those kids will take care of it. As soon as I got my driver's license, that's probably the first place I went, you know, on my own. We had thousands of acres of Weyerhaeuser land that was just like our park. And when you're born in a logging community like that, it's like, where's the latest road? Oh, it's up here on this huge ridge, and it's all old growth timber, and it's just like a fantasy land, you know, for your nature boy to get out and pretty much unrestricted access at the time to all that property that belonged to Weyerhaeuser. And then the Forest Service line boundary was just a little ways below our place. And when we had long weekends, we're off work, you know, me and my buddy drive up there, let's go to the mountain. That was everything, all through high school. Yeah. Hey, school's out today, it's snowing, let's grab a case of beer and go up to the mountains. I mean, it was always go up to the mountain. Some friends of my dad's, actually one of his employees, went in with another family and bought the lodge from Gustafson's, and they were trying to run it, and they just couldn't do it. They couldn't make it work, and so I'll never forget it. I just was working at Weyerhaeuser in the pulp mill, and that was kind of your destiny in Milltown. That's why I didn't like it. But it's what you do. You get married, you go to work in the mill, and that's your life. You retire at 65 and you die the next year. That's in a nutshell. I saw a lot of guys do that. They were my dad's friends. And I came into his office one day just out of the blue, and he said, you know, I can buy the lodge if you want to go up there and take it on. And I didn't even hesitate. I didn't ask my wife, nothing. I just said, I'm in. And I had a little house I just bought. I sold the house, sold my Jeep. He bought an international truck to haul wood on and moved upside. I had a family previous. I have 2 boys that were born up there. The lodge is probably part of the reason my family disintegrated, because it was a hard life for my partner up there with the boys, and it just didn't work out, you know. It was cold, miserable sometimes. I think I don't want to sound too macho, but a man could handle it better than a young woman with a couple boys, and the folks were always worried about the boys up there, you know. But it was nice, you know, compared to that, because right on the highway, we had everything you need. But, you know, a lot of people was like, no way, where's the phone? People come in all the time, where's the phone? I got to make a phone call. Don't have one. Well, I'll pay you if I can use your phone. No phone. Got it? No phone lines, you know? If I had one, you could use it.
And I actually got a job on Spirit Lake Highway as a labor trainee on the Spirit Lake Highway. And I just kind of decided to stay there, make some money, because I wanted to go back to school, stay at my mom's. And then I met Rob up there at the lodge, which is at the end of Spirit Lake Highway. So it was a natural. My mom and I went up there to pick huckleberries one day up at the end of the road, which was the turnaround, what they called the turnaround. You could walk up the mountain, basically start walking up the mountain from the turnaround there to pick huckleberries, and the views were fabulous from up there, you can about imagine. And so we stopped at the lodge on our way home, went in, had a cup of coffee at Rob's place, and that's how we met. He was a mystery man, long hair,
Yeah?
a mountain man living up there.
Yeah.
Nice.
He was a very nice man, gentle. I could tell he was a kind person, and I just we hit it off.
At
Our
Spirit
motto
Lake?
At Spirit Lake.
Yeah.
We're not in it for the money. We're in it for the glory.
They gave us permission to go up and get stuff out of the lodge.
Yeah. There were so many property owners up there, they wanted to go up to their cabins, and finally, Dixie,
Yeah.
Dixie Lee Ray, the governor, she approved it. I mean, Saturday the 17th, we had to meet at the gate, have a state patrol escort up there. And we were going to go up, and then they opened a gate and let a bunch of the people come up that had cabins and wanted to go up there and get stuff out of there because they were thinking it was going to get pretty serious.
This is the day before.
It's
Yeah.
the day before, yeah. And
We've-
so we went up there, and we didn't get anything. I got a couple things out of the lodge, but they're just, my family showed up and they weren't really prepared, and there was a bunch of media. And I got up there and fired up the stove,
Cleaned
cleaned
the
their place up, cooked hamburgers for everybody, made lunch, and they're all, well, it's like a big party, and are we gonna get anything, and my dad and my brother, and they show up in a Jeep. I've got my truck. You're supposed to bring a moving van, or something, but again, they didn't have anything what didn't belong in the lodge. I mean, there were things in the lodge I wish I would have gotten. No, just they weren't mine. They belonged to
To take
the
away.
lodge. I never brought them up there, and so again, that's the last time we saw Harry too, because when they rounded everybody up and to leave, and the sheriff came and told me I had to go, I just drove up the highway, ignored him, and drove up to see Harry.
And how did that go? Can you describe that?
Let's see if I can remember.
I remember a little bit. Yeah. And Harry was noticeably shaken. He wasn't his normal self in a way. And he had a tear in his eye, and we said, come on, Harry, come on down with us. Why don't we ride down with us? Like, again, he could stay at my mom's place. And he said, no, I'm not leaving. But he grabbed Rob's arm, and the last thing he said to Rob was, keep a stiff upper lip, kid. Keep a stiff upper lip. And he grabbed Rob's arm, and tears came to his eyes. Had never seen Harry shed a tear, but he did. I think he knew something was going to happen, but he wasn't going to leave.
I think he was exhausted too.
I think he
just
was.
from
The
worn
tremors,
out.
like
And
there
the
was
helicopters
tremors.
landing every day, and is bringing him jugs of whiskey
And Tremors day and night up there.
The only way to talk to Harry was bring a fifth of Shanley's with you, and him and his Coke glass. That was pretty much it. So
The day before it erupted, the day we were up there, you were cooking for everyone, cleaning and everything. But I remember there was tremors, like every 45 seconds there was a tremor, and the glasses would clank together, on the shelves and such. It was scary. And Rob says, why don't we just spend the night up here, because we're going to come back up the next day anyway, because we were allowed to go up 2 days, the 17th and the 18th. So the 17th we were up there, and Rob says, why don't we just spend the night here, just stay here tonight, because we're coming up tomorrow anyway. And I said, no way, I'm not staying here with the tremors, every 45 seconds almost a minute apart. So thank God. Well, if I would have said, yeah, let's stay, we would have been up there.
it was hard to, we had to wine glasses and the beer sign in the window. I mean, if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't even have felt it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's just like a little clanking of the glass, or we had beer signs in the windows, and you'd hear them hitting the glass a little bit. Or, it's not like a jolt earthquake, just a little shake.
Tremor.
Yeah, like a semi driving by. You know, more than that, but you know, not like a shake you.
So we stayed with my mom. We got up the next morning, ready to go back up again, because we could get stuff out finally. We'd get some stuff out. Sitting there having breakfast at my mom's, and just finishing up breakfast, and all of a sudden, your mom called and said, the mountain blue, and we thought, oh, sure.
She told me, I don't think you're going up there. You should see what's going on, because our family farm up on Kathryn Road, you can see Rainier and Mount St. Helens. It's 40 plus miles away. And she said,
the mountain
you're
blue.
not going up there.
So then we went out to look down to the end of the road from where my mom lives, and sure enough, there was just billowing.
Yeah, the
out.
whole sky.
The wind was blowing in completely the opposite direction, fortunately, so we sat there and watched the mountain blow all day long.
No ash, nothing.
Nothing came our direction because the wind was
clean
blowing.
air.
My mom lives on Silver Lake, so we took the boat out. We had a little boat there. We went out to the middle of the lake and just could see everything. The mountain was right there, and it was just billowing. Just half of the sky was black. Like, I wonder what happened to the lodge. I wonder how the lodge is. I wonder how things are up there. That was kind of what I thought.
Yeah,
But we knew. I mean, inside we knew it couldn't possibly have survived with what we were seeing. But it was like. It was unbelievable. And I've talked to people since then, and from Seattle, and they said they heard something, you know, a boom or some kind of blast. We didn't hear a thing.
yeah, that's pretty strange.
Isn't it?
Couldn't even see the billowing, like clouds, because it was obscured by just like a ash cloud.
Haze, like
that was like a long cloud. It obscured our view of the height of it.
Well, I remember, and you probably do too, seeing the lightning bolts. You'd be looking up to the mountain, and all of a sudden you'd see some lightning bolts going on, kind of closer to the ground. We didn't know what to expect, really. It was just sort of eerie in a way, but yet, and kind of curious about, gee, I wonder what happened up there. What's going on? Was everything destroyed? We didn't know. How did you feel?
Yeah, I don't know. I just probably pretty much emotionless. I couldn't even
Just sort of
really
an awe.
feel. It
There
was
sort of
numb.
a feeling of awe about it.
Because I'm so unknown. I just remember kind of driving around and going up to the school, and all of a sudden there's National Guard helicopters flying in, and everything's cordoned off, and you can't even go anywhere, and you're not allowed, and you couldn't get any word from anybody on anything. They're sending people out to search for the people that were up there working, and there were people camped up in the high country, and it just was chaos.
This happened on a Sunday too.
Just chaos.
Right.
So there weren't many people up there working, fortunately, in the woods, because a lot of other people would
Because
have
it was a Sunday.
been down.
Yeah.
It was a Sunday.
Yeah, there's families we know there. If it would have been on Monday, there would have been a lot of people.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been a better time. I mean, for loss of life, not a good time, but you know what I mean. It was Sunday morning was probably the least amount. If a Monday there would have been, it could have been possibly hundreds. I don't. They were logging within that red zone. As I ventured back up there, and now I see it through different eyes, and just enjoying the place a little more as far as hiking into the lake. Just the last few years, I've started hiking in there. It's kind of an escape, and now I'm motivated by the wildlife, and that's kind of what's motivating me. I'm taking photographs for the WSU. I've sent them over, just volunteer. It's no big deal. I get up there and they're right in my front yard, so I can take little videos and pictures of them and send them to Dr. Wild, who's working on the hoof rot issue with the elk up there, which is really important to me as a species, because the way I see it, if you don't have a healthy elk herd, if you have a sickness in the population, it affects all wildlife, because that's the biggest population of animals up there. Although the goats are growing fast up there too. So I just set these goals to get some good photographs of the goats. I document the elk herds, send those over to them so they can use them teaching in their class, and because they can't get over here at the right time. And a lot of times I'm down there, I could be sitting in my cabin, and all of a sudden here's a herd walking by. So I have a camera set up, video it. I can count how many are limping, what condition they're in. I send them over to them. It helps them out. So that gives me something. And then I want to get the goats. And you mentioned the wolf. I'd love to find a wolf up there and document that. But it's all personal stuff. I'm not, trying to get anywhere, get famous or anything.
I have a personal attachment to Mount St. Helens. When I moved to Mount St. Helens, my life changed. And it was like, I was not living a very happy life. And when I went to Mount St. Helens, everything changed for me. So as a result of that...
For the better?
For the better. And that was a turning point in my life, I guess is what you could say. And for me, I have a real personal attachment because of that place. And it's the place. And I can't really describe it, but there was something very spiritual about it. And Spirit Lake, to me, is something very, very special.
I think that's the way it was with everybody.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe
everybody
it is.
felt
Maybe
that
it
way.
was.
Because
But this was a major thing for me. It wasn't like...
It was a personal place.
There was something there. There was a spirit at Spirit Lake in that area, not just Spirit Lake, but in that area that was quite profound. It's hard to explain.
Transformative?
Very much so. And once I left...
Calming?
Calming, like a new beginning, sort of. There was something about that. It was a renewal of getting close to something spiritual, and it was transcending.
That song just hit me like a rock, because the lyrics just describe the lodge, everything.
Right.
Perfect, And we
Mike-
talked about your last season's business.
Right.
We wish it for you more than just ashes when your dreams come true.
Whoa.
And it's just like that song has been one of my, I don't know, just favorite. It's just amazing.
Almost a place, still you don't feel the heat. It takes all you got just to stay on the beat. You say it's a living, we all gotta eat. But you're here alone, there's no one to compete. If mercy's in business, I wish it for you. More than just ashes,